Hey, welcome to Mary Walter Radio, the podcast. Hope you were digging that groovy music. We're all digging it. So it sounds like music I just expect a lot of people to be, I don't know, like it's porn music or smoking pot to or something like that. It's very weird music. I'm really bright. I'm really bright, aren't I? Is that better? I don't know. Is that better? Am I less bright? Hold on. I look a little gray. How's that? Oh, that might be better. Maybe that's better. Hi, I'm Mary Walter, and this is the wonderful, amazing, incomparable Christy Flowers, also known as Empressa. She.
That's it. That's it. I can say it in four languages too.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, the woman speaks a lot of language because she is an incredible immigration lawyer. She is also a columnist and a fill-in radio host. So the woman does everything, which is why she never has any time to come on. And James was supposed to be with us, but between James and his wife, they just bounce from one disaster to the next.
Oh no.
And then they have some good times. And they just bounce to another disaster. And then so they're bouncing between disasters right now. So he hit me up at the last minute and said, guess what? And hold on, I'm going to try to turn that off. Anyway, he hit me up and said, guess what? And I was like, well, it's a good thing Christine's coming in then. Look at that. So it's just you and me.
I love
Um,
you. I miss James, but I didn't know he had gotten married. The last time I was on, he was engaged. He had just gotten engaged. So
yeah.
congratulations, James.
Yeah, he got married in October 8th, I think it was. I think it was
Oh,
October 8th was when he
that,
got married. So,
that's
yeah.
nice. I'm happy for you.
Yeah. They're a cute little couple. They are a very cute little couple. I really like them. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. What had just happened? Did you hear that? Hold on.
I'm grooving. I love this stuff.
Why did that happen? Oh, I see what happened. Never mind. That was my bad. Want to welcome some new subscribers. Chris, Joe, Robert, Sally, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Thank you. Please like the podcasts. You can see more of the wonderful, incredible Christine Flowers. You just go to YouTube, look for Mary Walter Radio, and click on live on the live tab and you can sort, you can look. Christine, I still think that the first podcast you and I did together has the most viewers of all our podcasts.
Oh, wow. And I'm trying to remember. I know I did one with you last year when I had just gotten back, or 2 years ago, when I had just gotten back that day from Italy. In fact, you
Yes.
reached out to me when I was going through customs at Philadelphia
Yes, yes.
International Airport. And I said, yes, I'll go on. And I came home and I was completely frazzled, but it was really nice. It was a great homecoming.
Yeah, well, you're such a trooper. You're so game. So, okay. Um, there's a lot we want to get to. By the way, the audio is available at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Again, you just search for Mary Walter Radio. Coming up this week, a little housekeeping, as I said, Thursday and Friday, I am in for Todd Starnes.
Wow.
His home station is KWAM, KWAM, KWAM out of Memphis, and he is nationally syndicated from noon to 3 Eastern time because he's on 11 to 2 Central. So noon to 3 Eastern time. I'm in for Todd on Thursday and Friday coming up this week. And then Monday, I'm back on the Chris Salcedo show with Mike Reagan on Monday, somewhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. Are you
Talk
anywhere?
about busy women. I mean, I'm coming back through an airport and you're all over the place. You are ubiquitous, and thank God for that. We need your voice.
Well, speaking of voices, you also have a column and you have been stirring up a lot of dirt. Well, not a lot of dirt. You've been stirring the hornet's nest. First of all, where can people read your column?
They can read, well, it appears on Sundays in the Delco Times. So it's www.delcotimes, DELCOTIMES.com. But the following day, it gets picked up by the Kagel Syndicate, which is
Oh, yeah.
the cartoon syndicate, political cartoons, but they also have political columnists. And then it gets picked up in all of these different newspapers across the country. And I love it, Mary, because I get this
Great.
wonderful feedback from people who are not in this blue liberal bubble that we have here in the Northeast. I get people from, Northern California, Arizona, Utah, Alaska, Alabama, just all over the country. And it's incredibly wonderful. In fact, my most recent column about, well, my next to most recent column about Pope Francis and my disquiet with him, elicited a lot of emails, including one from a priest who agreed with me. So I realize now I don't need to go to confession because I have the imprimatur of a priest who agrees with me.
There you go. There you go. I look dead. Is that better? No. You look so great, and I look gray. I haven't been in Italy, and I under the sun. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but I feel I look like a vampire next to you.
I'm underneath a lamp. Like a lamp is right there. That's it.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I just feel like I look like a vampire next to you. I keep changing my light.
Did you see my Christmas tree, by the way? You see my little baby Christmas tree?
I do. It's so cute. It's over your other shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, it's my other.
Yeah, no, I know. You have to go the wrong. You have to know the other way. It's backwards. It's backwards. So, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things I want to get into you with, and because I think you and I could talk for 3 hours. We should have our own radio show because the two of us could just go on forever.
Easily.
But you've really, 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 as I said, been stirring the hornet's nest with your comments on Israel. And man, you are taking no prisoners whatsoever. Go.
So let me put it this way. I was, on October 7th, I was in shock. I think as most of the world was, that this horrific event had happened, that Israelis had been kidnapped, killed, murdered. And now we know much more about what happened to them. I remember my friend Robin at the Jewish Federation invited me to a showing of a film that has been shown nationally. It's body cam and dash cam footage,
yes,
and the IDF footage of what actually happened on October 7th. And it is horrific. That just, it something happened in me, Mary. It triggered something in me that I had not felt for a very, very long time. To see this inhumanity by Hamas. And let's be honest, I keep calling them Palestinian terrorists because to call them Hamas, it limits the culpability to this small group of terrorists, people who are known on the terror list in the United States. But the culpability is much wider than that. It attaches to the people who voted for Hamas back in 2007. It attaches to the people who are raising their children to hate Israelis, to hate Jews. It attaches to people here in the United States who are marching through the streets of Philadelphia. I've gotten caught up in several different protests by pro-Palestinian, I call it pro-Hamas supporters who, it is just unbelievable. The chants from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They know what they're saying. That is a call for Jewish genocide. And I am not, we're Catholic. I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm celebrating Hanukkah in solidarity with my Jewish friends, but I know very little about Jewish history. I know very little about the history of Israel. I know about the Holocaust. I know what has happened to Jewish refugees, to the diaspora. And to see in my city, a city that was founded on religious freedom, and to see it as an immigration attorney, to see these people marching through the streets and essentially not criticizing Israel. That's a cop-out. People are hiding behind this, protesting Israel is not anti-Semitic. They're not protesting against the policies of Israel. If they were doing that, they wouldn't be going after Jewish-owned businesses in Philadelphia, like Goldie Restaurant, owned by Michael Solomonov. They would not have gone and vandalized a Jewish daycare center. They wouldn't be vandalizing temples. And the president of the University of Pennsylvania wouldn't have a very hard time coming out and saying on her first try, genocide against the Jews is a hate crime. And even more, it violates Penn standards. She had a hard time saying that. So yeah, I'm angry. And I'm also angry at all of the feminist women who were standing up because they believed that women had been harassed and mistreated and abused by, let's have the list, Al Franken and Bill Cosby and Kevin Spacey. And here locally, we had a state senator named Dalen Leach and another state representative named Nick Miccarelli. And they're on different sides of the political aisle. And I remember women coming out and attacking Harvey Weinstein and saying, this is horrible and horrific. And silence.
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of the U2 movement, was Harvey Weinstein.
Exactly. And yet there is virtual silence on what happened to the women who were taken hostage by Hamas. We've gotten stories, firsthand stories, when the hostages met with Netanyahu and his administration. Women told the administration what they went through, what had happened at the hands of Hamas. And it's extremely difficult to get American women and women in the West to stand up and criticize, condemn Hamas. It should be the easiest thing in the world. These women, mostly on the left, have been trained to sniff out even the most innocuous misogyny, even the Mad Men kind of 1960s piggish behavior. That's raised to the level of sexual assault and sexual abuse. But when women are actually being raped, they're silent. Where's Meryl Streep, who stood up and pointed the finger at Harvey Weinstein after she picked up a couple of Oscars? Where's Salma Hayek? Where's Gloria Allred? Where are these women? They are silent. That was my last column. That was Sunday's column, and I am disgusted.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to some comments here first. Little roll call. We've got Bill is with us. Porch View Farm is here with us. Thank you so much, guys. We have Steve with Now Tax USA. Hello, Mary and Christine. Welcome from the No Tax Gang. It's really Now Tax, but the W is small, so it's No Tax Gang. Chris says, I'm just here for the lava lamp music. Hey, it's the only stuff we can use that's free, that I don't get dinged for, and YouTube doesn't take my video down with. So Paul is here. Porch View Farm. Let's get into comments. Oh, we lost Christy. There she is. Into comments about what Christine had to say. Porch View Farm says it's disgusting. It is. Chris Tremoli, our friend Chris, who's a regular, he says, "Yeah, you are on fire." Joe Arrow says, Christine Flowers has been a true warrior in the fight against, and then he says American, but this is what he meant, a warrior in the fight against anti-Semitism. Christine Flowers is a brave woman. Thank you.
Love you, Joe.
Paul, when we watch these protests, in quotes, why are the majority of the protesters women? I don't get it. I know why. Do you want to answer that?
He makes a great point. He makes an amazing point. Well, you give me your idea.
Oh, these are little paid communists. That's what they are. They're being paid. They have, most of them, I think, are rich liberal offspring who have nothing else to do. Mom and dad don't care where they are. Someone is paying for their airfare, paying for their hotel. They get paid to be there. They don't even know what they're saying. They wear masks so they're not identified. And they cut their teeth on the summer of 2020 when BLM and all that kind of stuff. And when there were no repercussions, they were emboldened. And they'll say anything. You give them a sign, they'll hold it up, they'll chant whatever you want them to chant, and then they go collect their cash. That's it. They know nothing. They have no clue what the hell they're saying. Exactly. They know nothing. They're literally useful idiots.
And I love that phrase, and it's so apt these days. But you know what? Also, Mayor, they don't have the courage of their convictions. If they truly did believe in the things that they're spouting, they wouldn't then start crying and running with their tails between their legs when there are consequences, like that NYU University student who was whining and crying because they took away her scholarship, and now she has to live off campus and the school isn't going to subsidize her housing because all I did was take down a few posters of Israeli propaganda, of babies who were kidnapped, of children, of women, of mothers, of grandmothers, of fathers who are hostage to terrorists, these nihilistic, heartless, soulless pieces of, in French, crapule, merde. This is when the foreign languages come in handy. They're out there and you know, they're actually trying to obstruct justice, trying to get the word out about who these people are.
Right.
And then when they're called on it, it's like, oh, don't be mean to me. Oh no, don't take away my scholarship. Don't fire me. Don't force me to resign as Penn's president. It just, they're laughable. They're laughable.
But you know what it is? It's a lesson in free speech, because they're like, when they tear down the posters, you know, I've had the easiest way I found to shut them down is you just say, well, that's censorship. No, it's not. It's free speech. I'm like, no. Free speech is putting up your own posters. Tearing down someone else's is censorship. Right. And then they don't know what to say. And then 9 times out of 10, I get blocked on Twitter, which is fine.
I love when I see you doing that, by the way. I love when you post this, because it's such capitulation. If people can't engage in conversation, they really shouldn't be in the Twitter sphere to begin with, the X sphere to begin with.
Yeah. Porch View Farm, that German woman's body in the pickup truck with her legs clearly broken is haunting. You know what? I hate to say this, but like, there was a grandfather who's or was a father whose 4-year-old daughter was missing, and he said, I pray that she's dead. He said, I take comfort in knowing that she's probably dead, because he didn't want her to have to live through what they were going to do to her. Mm-hmm. And that woman who was in the back of that truck, I pray to God that she was dead at the time or is dead now, because it's more humane than what those animals would have done to her. So I pray to God that she's dead. And I know it sounds terrible, but I think it's the humane thing. Polyurethane 5 says, where's the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ on this? Nowhere. Of course not.
Well said.
But this is what happens. What we're seeing play out here is what happens when the victim culture, the culture of victimhood, bumps up against their own, right? So now they've got women butting heads against Muslims, right? Both favored groups. Jews were never favored groups. Muslim and women were. And women are rapidly finding that they were used and abused, and you know, nobody was left on the nightstand, sweetheart, and you allowed it to happen. Right? They used you to climb up the victimhood pyramid. And what did? They threw you down for men who pretended they were women, and now they're throwing you down for men who say that they can give birth. And now they're throwing you down for Muslims. So there you go.
Yeah. And excuse me, another irony of all of this is that this intersectionality, you all right, kiddo?
Yeah, hold on. You keep going. I'm just going to take a sip of water here. I'm just going to mute my mic.
Cool. All of this intersectionality the center cannot hold. It's all falling apart, because if you saw some of those posters with some of those far left women and young men, and they were marching Queers for Palestine, I can tell you, as an immigration lawyer who has a hearing coming up next week that deals with a member of the LGBTQ community, if those queers ended up in Palestine, they would be at the bottom of a ravine. They would be dead, because there is no such thing as gay rights in Gaza. There is no such thing as gay rights in Saudi Arabia. There are no LGBTQ rights in any Muslim majority country in the world.
That's right.
Do you know where queers are safe in the Middle East?
Israel.
The only country where they are safe is Israel. And yet you have these Queers for Palestine marching. At first I thought it was a joke. I really thought it was a Photoshop, but it's real. These useful idiots, they're real.
Yeah. It's kind of like chickens for Chick-fil-A.
I know. Exactly. That's right.
Chickens for KFC.
Right.
Idiots. Right. Okay. Porch View Farm, the Getty money, his great-great-granddaughter is a big funder of these women.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Paul says 90% don't know the names of the river or the sea they chant about. Yes, someone went out and asked them and did a survey. They have no clue.
Yep.
And Porch View Farm said, good point, Paul. Question: if you're watching on YouTube, is it really, really a bad picture? Because I'm looking at the YouTube feed over here. I see clear with us, Christine,
Mhm.
and I see clear on Getter. But I got to tell you, on YouTube, it looks terrible. I don't know
Mm.
why, and that's not us. So if you're watching on YouTube, does it look really fuzzy? Is the quality just terrible? I'm just curious. Uh, let us know, please. Please make a comment
Please.
and let us know. Oh, Paul says it looks clear. Okay, so that's good. Maybe just coming back to me is terrible there. So okay, because like I said, you and I have a dangerous way of going on forever. So I want to jump into the election in 2024 with all the moving parts with Jack Smith, all the stuff that's going on. So
Yep.
one of the things I plays into this is because I sent Christine a Twitter thread that I found because I found it's a conspiracy theory, kind of, but I can see where maybe it's not a conspiracy theory because everything they told us that were conspiracy theories in the past have come true.
Hmm. Well, the puzzle
So
pieces did fit together if you follow
yeah,
it.
yeah. Um, so let's see. Okay, so this is a Heartland Rasmussen poll. So this is legit. I'm sure it'll get censored anyway because you know the New York Post story was legit and that got censored. 17% of mail-in voters admitted that in 2020 they voted in a state where they are no longer a permanent resident. That's fraud. 21% of mail-in voters admitted that they filled out a ballot for a friend or a family member. That's fraud. 17% of mail-in voters said they signed a ballot for a friend or family member with or without his or her permission. Criminal. Well, all of this is criminal. 8% of likely voters say they were offered pay or a reward for voting in 2020. My hunch is that 90% of those were in Philadelphia with the walking around money, right?
Can I tell you?
Right?
Can I tell you? Can I tell you something really, really quickly?
Yeah.
Today, I posted about this. I got an email from the city commissioners who are in charge of voting in Philadelphia in elections, and it said they wanted me to confirm my residence in
Oh,
Philadelphia
yes,
because there had been
yes,
a challenge to my residence as a Philadelphian.
yeah. I saw
I
them.
was, I was raised in the suburbs, but for the past almost 4 years, I've lived in Center City,
Phil.
Philadelphia. And this happened to me during the last 4 years ago, during the last election, right before the pandemic. They were questioning again my residency in Philadelphia. And again, I had to go back and I had to say, under oath, I'm an officer of the court. I'm not going to commit fraud. I live in the city of Philadelphia. These are Democrats who are doing this, Mary.
Of
The
course, they're
only
suppressing the
voter
vote.
suppression I have ever seen is from the left, not from the
Yep.
right. And in the city of
Yeah.
Philadelphia, the right has no power. So the left is the only entity that can do this. And I am, yet again, I'm kind of bemused at this point. I was really pissed off this morning. Angry, excuse me. I don't know if I'm going to say that. I was really angry this morning. Right now, I'm bemused. I'm like, I mean, okay, how many more times do I have to take Architectural Digest pictures of my condo and send it to them and say, guys, I'm in this zip code, okay? But it's amazing. So yeah, voter fraud,
Yep.
voter suppression by the GOP. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But taken together, the results of these survey questions appear to show that voter fraud was widespread in the 2020 election, especially among those who cast mail-in ballots. So I bear that in mind with all of the posts that I see all over Twitter about COVID numbers are rising, and all these
Uh-huh.
people who post this stuff. I think half of them are fake accounts. I truly, truly do, because they all post a story about my sister's husband is in the hospital again with COVID, and their kid died of COVID, and my sister died of COVID. And like they all have these horrible, horrific, tragic stories. They have got to be the most sickly people ever on the face of the planet with the amount of illness that these people go through, and
Right.
and they're the ones who are dying, and they have I've had long-term COVID for 30 months, all this other stuff, right? So they're ramping up the COVID hysteria machine, and the idea that they toyed with it in New Jersey. 2 hospital groups went with mask mandates again,
Oh
and
my God.
then it lasted a week, and they didn't have, then that was the end of it in those hospitals. So let's see. According to election data, more than 43% of 2020 voters cast ballots by mail. So it's you put these two things together, the vote in mail, which we got in 2020 because of COVID, and now they're ramping up COVID again. What is next? It's the only thing I can think of. This Rasmussen report goes on to say 10% of all respondents, not just the ones who said they voted by mail, claimed that they know a friend, a family member, a coworker, or other acquaintance who has admitted that he or she cast a mail-in ballot in 2020 in a state other than his or her state of permanent residence. I mean,
It's fraud. That's fraud.
it is. Yeah. Now
I mean,
it's
and what kind of
incredible.
impact did it have on the final numbers?
Right.
It wasn't.
Right.
Joe Biden did not win in a blowout. People have there's this urban myth about the millions and millions and millions of extra votes that are popular votes that Joe Biden had. I honestly, I don't know what the differential is, but to just sort of dismiss this clear evidence of irregularities, if you don't want to call it rigging the election, which I do think in some states this actually did happen. In my state, in my Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, there were a lot of irregularities. In the county where I grew up in Delaware County, they're still filing lawsuits to challenge the count, the balloting, the amount of time that they took to finally tally these votes. I remember just thinking to myself when I went to Philadelphia, again, in Philadelphia, I voted in Philadelphia, and I looked around. They didn't ask for any ID. They didn't ask for anything. They didn't even ask me. They asked me to sign my name that was printed, and I guess they matched my signature to an old signature. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is not a secure election. So I'm not surprised at what these people are saying. And I really hate mail-in balloting, but I do think, and I'm going to say this, I think Donald Trump, for whatever reason, has made people very suspicious of mail-in balloting. Okay, good. That's fine. Except he's now dissuaded his own voters from going out to vote for him because they think that mail-in ballots are fraudulent or they're unsafe or what have you. And the Democrats are experts in harvesting ballots and in using the mail-in ballot system. So I think he's shot himself in the foot. And I think he really needs to rejigger his approach to mail-in ballots.
Well,
because that's the future. Unfortunately, we're not going to get rid of them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be on a state by state basis, and that's just a whole nother rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. We don't have time to go down, unfortunately. Paul says my wife is an ER nurse and is working as we speak. She hasn't seen a COVID patient in months. Now Tax USA, 80 million votes for Biden, the most popular man on the planet. Okay, so let's jump into. I have to go to this. Let me find bookmarks. Quickly go through this, and we'll get your thoughts on this as we go through it. So this is Tara Servatius on Twitter, and she claims that the Democrats are running a psyop on GOP voters, and we're walking right into the trap. And she said, "Bookmark this handy guide to watch it go down in 2024." So I did. And by the way, Bill Haynes wants us to know that we both look very sexy on YouTube, and he has us on his 68-inch TV. Christina, you are a fire on Israel, Christine. He also said, in my store, there's been some cases of COVID, all mild. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I think there'll be a lockdown in 2024. Yep. Yes, we have mail-in ballots again. Paul, mail-in ballots are not going away. Republicans have to work harder. Yeah, they do. But the problem is I think Republicans just vote on election day, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with election day, right?
I
So
agree.
I think Republicans just are less likely to use the balloting, the mail-in system. The problem is Democrats do, and that gives them the opportunity to figure out, oh, how far behind is our candidate? And then 2 days later, miraculously, over the course of 48 hours, just the right amount of ballots come flying in.
Well, this
And
is the horrible thing, Mary, because like you
right,
said, there should be election day. There shouldn't
right,
be election week. There shouldn't be
exactly,
early voting. The
right,
only people who should have absentee ballots are those who are serving in the military or those who are legitimately living abroad and
right.
working abroad. And this to me, you mentioned the people who said they voted in towns where they were no longer residents. We had a bit of a scandal out here in southeastern Pennsylvania, where a lot of college students were voting twice, or they were
Yes,
getting ballots. They live in one area. Villanova. Villanova is right. Villanova is our alma mater. But a lot of kids who go to Villanova don't live in Villanova. They live
right,
in other parts of the country. So they're getting their ballots at home. And then they're also voting in Villanova. And who's to be able to
right,
say, if you're from Michigan and you go to you go to Villanova, you vote in Pennsylvania on election day, but maybe mommy and daddy sent in your ballot in Michigan a week before. So
right,
it's crazy. I don't think there should be mail-in ballots. I
right,
detest it. I think Republicans are a lot less lazy than Democrats. We don't have a problem standing in line, going on election
right.
day. But I think it was Paul who said, unfortunately, it's the wave of the future.
Yeah.
Election day is gone.
Right. Paul said Republicans have to work harder than Dems at harvesting. Gregory, I vote in any way that records my vote as early as possible. Who knows when I'm going to expire? Paul, here in Florida, we have we have early voting. Yeah, because if you die, you vote Democrat.
Well, if you die, you're voting in Philly, is what you're
yes,
doing.
yes, and you're voting Democrat.
Right.
Paul, in Florida, we have early voting. Rather have that than mail-ins. Agree. Polyurethane, it's not the number of votes, it's who counts the votes. Stalin. Now, Tax USA, this is a good time to mention Scott Presler's efforts to go
Yeah.
for it when it comes to the GOP getting into the voting game. Yeah. For some reason, there are a lot of people who don't like him, and I don't understand why on the
Why?
Republican side. And I don't understand. All right,
He's
let's get to
fantastic.
this. I know, I know. Okay, we're not going to have time to get through all this. We're not going to have time to get to the dating topic that I really wanted to get to because I thought we could have some fun with that. So we'll have to do it another time because I
Ah,
bookmarked that too. All right. All right, here's what she says. Wait, one quick comment here from Chris. Chris Jamoli, Republicans can keep voting in person. They should just use mail-in ballots to get votes for Republicans who are registered but don't get to the polls. They can use it for an effective Go to vote GOTV strategy. Right.
yeah.
Okay. So Tara Servatius said, now consolidate GOP voter support behind Trump by convincing Republicans with manipulated polls that Trump can easily beat Biden. Ignore or don't promote the internals of these polls that show if Trump is convicted, Biden, as unpopular as he is, beats Trump by 6 to 10 points, cheating or no cheating. And there's a poll that just came out that shows, where is this? Oh, darn it, I can't find it right now. Reuters shows Trump leading Biden 38 to 36 with 26% voting third party. All right. Then in December to January, the mainstream media runs a relentless media campaign to ensure Nikki Haley, who is essentially a Democrat, is maneuvered into second position in the GOP primary as an insurance policy. They back her with tens of millions of Democrat dollars to ensure that this happens. It's happening already. In March, start the first major Trump trial after Super Tuesday, by which time enough GOP primary nominating contests will have been held to cement Trump as the nominee. Now we're trapped. Because Trump was, what is it? Here it is. Trump leading. Trump has the largest Iowa lead in the history of the Des Moines Register poll. So you could see so far, all of those ducks are lining up in a row for this, right? May to June, now the Democrats lower the boom. Convict Trump for the first time ahead of the GOP nominating convention in July, knowing a vicious floor fight will break out. Now, this makes sense. Jack Smith is pushing, right, to speed this up. He wants to speed up what he's doing. And if he speeds it up, this all falls into place, because right now this doesn't fall into play, because Jack Smith's going to get a conviction of Trump in Washington, D.C. He's going to be convicted in Washington, D.C. There's no way Trump's not getting convicted in Washington, D.C. And one of the judges on these panels, yeah, she's Chutkan has convicted every January 6th person who's come in front of her. So it's going to the Supreme Court. So he knows that. So he's trying to leapfrog, because he wants to speed this up. Because if they do this and they convict him ahead of the GOP convention in July, they say a vicious floor fight will break out. The internals of Democrat polls have been telling us for months the GOP will fracture if Trump is convicted, with 50% wanting Trump to stay on the ballot despite being convicted, and 50% wanting to dump him. The GOP and their votes torn right down the middle. Enraged Trump supporters vow not to support any replacement, even if Trump's in prison on Election Day, and the other half of the party voters are panicking about not replacing Trump on the ballot and want another alternative. Now, the reason why Democrats have spent millions on Nikki Haley comes in. The Democrats really want Trump, but they can't get Trump, so they go for Nikki Haley, right? But at eliminating DeSantis and putting Haley in the second position, it makes her more viable to get the nomination. August, for the final coup de grace, Democrats replace Biden as their nominee with a much more popular Democrat, which I think is going to happen anyway, who is unveiled to great mainstream media acclaim at their August convention. Quite likely a second Trump conviction will be in hand at this point, delivered by overwhelmingly liberal blue state juries who don't care about the facts. Any presidential campaign Trump had is dead, as Trump is either in prison or imprisoned at Mar-a-Lago, with liberal judges controlling his every word and every post, as he is now a convict and he's subject to their whims. So he can't campaign. Most of Trump's campaign funds go to legal bills. There's no campaign. He crashes in the polls as the GOP tears itself apart. In polling, the Democrat candidate surges. Polls begin to show the House and Senate tilting to the Democrats by big margins, or the GOP succeeding in removing Trump as the nominee enrages half the party voters, who now refuse to coalesce around the new candidate. Some even refuse to vote at all or vow to write in Trump's name instead. The GOP is fractured either way, no longer voting as a bloc, and independents bolt towards the Democrats. November, massive, historic Democrat landslide finally gives the Dems the number they need, the House, the Senate, and that gives them the right. Then they're going to pack the Supreme Court, et cetera, and get rid of the Second Amendment, on and on and on. So what do you think? I can totally see it happening. And I have said all along that something's going to happen. There's no way the Democrats are going to let Joe Biden run. They're going to take him out. They're going to put somebody else in, and they are colluding with these prosecutors. We know the prosecutors have been talking to the White House. We know that Jack Smith spoke to the White House before he dropped the charge, before he put the charges on Trump. We know Letitia James spoke to the White House before she dumped the charges on Trump. We know it's coordination, and this is exactly what's going to happen to keep Democrats in power. Tell me I'm wrong.
All right, Mayor. Let me say this at the outset.
Mayor. Mayor.
Let me say this at the outset. I think, first of all, that every single one of these prosecutions of Donald Trump are illegitimate. I think they are political. I've written about this. I think it is repellent and disgusting that the judicial system, particularly our DOJ, but also Letitia James and the different state courts in Florida, whatever, that they are specifically targeting a candidate to take him out so that he will not be eligible to be elected. Okay. I've seen this happen in other countries with my asylum work, and I find it reprehensible. I think Chutkan is a stooge, and I think she is one of the most unethical jurists I've ever seen, because she already she had already predetermined, for example, that the January 6th defendants were guilty. She didn't listen to any arguments whatsoever. And she gave each and every one of them the highest possible sentence that they were eligible for. So I say that at the outset, there should not be prosecutions for a variety of reasons. I'm also going to say this. I am not a Trump or die supporter. if
Right.
he is the nominee, if he is the GOP nominee, I will vote for him, because I will never again vote for a Democrat, ever. I don't care if Mother Teresa comes back, from trailing clouds of glory with her halo on her head and is the Democratic nominee. She's not getting my vote. Okay, that being said, I strongly disagree with the fact that I know there are a lot of Republicans that don't like Nikki Haley. And I will say that I have turned sour on her because of her flip-flopping position on the abortion issue, on the life issues. You know how pro-life I am, how anti-abortion I am. And I think that she's a squish. I don't think she's a Democrat, though. She is a neocon, if anything. She is extremely, extremely strong on national security. And I haven't seen any Democrats that are really strong on national security in a very, very long time. So I don't see her as a Democrat. I love Ron DeSantis, but he's running a really, really, really bad campaign, a really poor campaign. So that being said, I believe that some of what Tara Servatius has said makes a lot of sense linearly. If you look at it chronologically, yes, if these pieces fall in place, it is very possible that they're setting up a situation where Trump would have been the nominee, or Trump will be the nominee after Iowa and after the earlier primaries, and then he's convicted. And then what do the Republicans do? But it makes it seem as if we're all, all of the GOP is singing Kumbaya right now, and we're all together behind Trump. No, we're not. There are a lot of Republicans who are fractured already. There are the ones who are supporting, God forbid, Chris Christie, who I called a narcissist navel gazer, if he can find his navel on TV. You've got the people who are behind Vivek Ramaswamy, who I actually like a lot. I met him in person. I think he makes a lot of sense. His position on immigration is actually really strong. You've got the Nikki people, who I do agree that there are more Democrats than if you're going to have Democrats funding a Republican candidate, it's definitely Nikki, but that doesn't make her a Democrat. And then you have, Ron, DeSantis, his campaign is floundering. There are a lot of different constituencies among the Republicans. So to make it seem as if everyone is behind Trump, which I think you have to sort of take as a given to agree with what Tara's talking about, I don't think that that's correct. Now, I do believe that the default position for virtually every Republican in the United States at this moment is they are not going to vote for a Democrat, no matter who it is, whether it be Joe Biden, 148-year-old Joe Biden, Kamala, God forbid, Harris, Gavin, where's my French Laundry reservation, Newsom. You've got, just unqualified people on the left. So yeah, Republicans are going to vote for the GOP nominee, except for those very, very strong never Trumpers. And I'm not a never Trumper, but again, I don't think, this sounds like Laura Loomer kind of stuff, where it's Trump or die, Trump or die. I still think that there is a vehicle, a way for us to have a very strong candidate who would be able to defeat any of the Democrats that are presented. And again, if it is Trump, I'm voting for Trump. And I agree with you about Washington. I think he's going to be convicted in Washington. The
100%.
Classified documents, the Florida case, that's a loser. I really believe that's a loser.
Yep.
The New York case is a joke multiplied by 10. And what's the other one? I'm forgetting the fourth one.
There's fourth, Georgia. Fannie Willis.
That also is a joke. It's all secondhand hearsay. There's no documented evidence of anyone doing anything to try and suppress or massage the vote there. So the one that's really troubling, and not because it's a strong case, but because of the judge,
of DC,
and because of the jurisdiction, is the DC case.
Yeah, exactly. So we know he's going to get convicted on that. And that's why I think Jack Smith is trying so hard, because he wants election interference in this whole case. And I hope that
Smith is despicable. He's just repellent and reprehensible.
I hope the Supreme Court sees him for who he is. Now, I want to just read some of these comments here. Paul says the GOP is already fractured. If Trump is convicted and taken off the ballot, Trump supporters should make sure that Biden or his replacement should get in. Trump supporters should make sure that Biden or his replacement should not get in. Yeah. Porch View Farm. I will not vote for Nikki Haley at all. She's absolutely a Cold War Democrat. Here's my problem with that. And I love you. I love you, Porch View Farm. I have a problem with people who are never Trumpers or never DeSantis, or if Trump doesn't get the nomination, I'm not voting. Okay, well then you know what? You might as well cast your vote for the other guy. For the love of God, you don't always get what you want, right? I can't stand her. I can't stand. No. You hold your nose and you vote for the best one, because we know that what the Democrats put up is going to be bad. They're going to be dangerous. I don't like Nikki Haley. I don't think she's the best candidate, but I will vote for her over Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, whoever they trot out onto that stage. I will vote for Nikki Haley if that's my option, because I consider it almost my responsibility to make sure that the Democrats do not win. We can't afford 4 more years of this on steroids.
They will do so much damage. They will do so much damage to all of our institutions, including the Supreme Court, which you had mentioned earlier. They were screaming about Trump having 3 nominees, 3 conservative nominees. They will do what FDR tried to do. They will pack that ever-loving court, and we will never, we will lose property rights. We will lose gun rights. We will have institutionalized abortion, an abortion for every woman who wants it. It is horrific. So for people to say they're not going to vote for the GOP nominee, if that is the only way to stop the Democrats from getting into office, that is suicide.
Yep. She says, I will write in Alan Keyes again. Why bother? Why even bother to vote? Just stay home. Sit home, because it's a waste. I realize it's your little protest, but sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do because it's the best thing for overall to do. When given 2 crappy choices, sometimes you have to pick the less smelly pile of crap, okay?
It's
sometimes that's
voting.
Strategic voting. Exactly. And this is what Democrats do so much better than Republicans. I get it. We're better than them. We have better morals, blah, blah, blah. Sit on your holy moral high ground by yourself and lose. I don't see the virtue in that. Listen, there's nobody I'm going to agree with 100% for this country. My husband does stuff sometimes that I don't agree with, and it makes me wonder, makes me think I'm an idiot because I chose him. You know what I mean? And I do things sometimes and I wonder what the hell I was thinking when I did it, right? So I don't agree with stuff that I do all the time. But people who, I'm sorry, Portview, but people who write in, Chris Christie or somebody who's not running or somebody who doesn't have a chance, it's a waste. When you have the right, as Christine said, to be a strategic voter, or maybe just stop the worst person from winning.
Right.
I will vote like the person who wins, but
you know how strong of a pro-life individual I am. And I've also said that, the GOP can't capitulate and start massaging the message and, we're more pro-choice and everything. No, but if my only choice is between a pro-choice Democrat and a pro-choice Republican, I'm voting for the Republican, because I'm not a one-issue voter. I used to be, but this is too important for us right now. We cannot have Democrat control of all of the branches of government or any of the branches of government. And at this point, we are spiraling toward a Democrat control. We're spiraling toward Philadelphia at a national level.
That's right.
You don't want Philadelphia. You don't want Philadelphia on the national stage. Please.
No. Paul says Dems put themselves in a bad position with their diverse pick for VP. Who's going to draw the short straw and tell the woman of color that she's not their pick for POTUS? You know what? She'll bow out just like Bernie, and she'll wind up on the estate next to his on the island in Lake Champlain. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, Porchview says we will not win with that woman. When someone says that woman, ooh, that's bad. That's bad when you say that woman.
Well,
Here's
if
the
that
thing.
woman happens to be the nominee, that's the only option that we have.
That's right, because you know what? That woman at least wants to close the border.
Yeah.
So if that's the only thing she wants to do, I will take it because it is better than the open border we have now. If
Word from the
everything else
immigration
stays the
lawyer,
same,
yeah.
if everything else stays the same, but she wants to close the border, okay, at least that's better than everything like this with an open border.
I mean, fight her in the primary if you want. That's fine. That's legit.
Right.
But when we have a nominee, you have to vote for that nominee. The fighting goes
Right.
on until the general. And at that
Exactly.
point, you know, it's written.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm sorry. I love Portrait Farm. She's a big supporter of the show, but I gotta disagree with you this time around, girl. I do. Maybe we can get you to change your mind and just hold your nose and vote, because again, she's for border control. She wants to control the border. Um, she wants to close the border, but get everyone here amnesty. I got news for you. They're getting amnesty anyway. I got news for you. That's happening anyway. Because if you think that there aren't rhinos in Congress who are going to vote for that, there absolutely are. Lindsey Graham, I'm looking at you. Mitch McConnell, I'm looking at you. Paul, what's his name is oh God, Mitt Romney. He's leaving, right? He's leaving.
Gone. Thank God.
Oh yeah, he's gone. Yeah. But there are a bunch of them, and I have news for you. No one is rounding them up and sending them back. I got news. The only way they're going back is if they self-deport, because America's not giving them what they thought they were going to get, or we get a president that starts enforcing laws, or a Congress that starts demanding that the laws be enforced. But you're still better with even Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, or Trump.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the only thing I get from them is closed borders, great. Or fill in the blank that you want that's different now. I get to keep my gas stove. I'm not forced to buy an electric vehicle. How about that? That's another one.
I get to keep my Supreme Court majority, my conservative Supreme Court majority. That's like really important to me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I agree. So as I predicted, we do not have time to do the dating topic. However,
shucks.
Well, I know we yacked. Let me see. Did I make sure I bookmarked it? I'm sure I did. Let me just make sure. Bookmarks. I did. So I have the video for the next time. And it'll be interesting to hear us talk about this. And I think I want to hear obviously what everybody else has to say about this too. Paul, one more here, says, I love my governor and Congressman Byron Donalds. I'll vote for whoever is the Republican on the ticket. Yes, exactly. That's what you do. That's part
too. I love DeSantis too.
Yeah. What was that? Hello? Huh? I don't know. Either when I get off the air, there's somebody in the house and I'm going to die, or
stay on the line, Mary.
Or it was a cat. Whatever. I don't know.
Stay on the line. Don't leave us.
Somebody dial 911. No, don't do that. And I'm not even a Republican. I'm not a registered Republican.
I'm an independent.
Right. Well, I can't be independent in New Jersey. You can only be unaffiliated. But that's how strongly I feel about, and I don't know if it's because, listen, there are varying shades of Republicans. We're not all the same. Well, they're not all the same. I keep saying not all the same. Some of them are independents who lean conservative. Some of us are here because we were independents, and then the Democrats went so far to the left, to the crazy town, that they just kept pushing me further to the right. Some are like Porchview Farm, where they just really don't like a candidate, and that's fine, right? But in the end, you got to come together and you got to pick somebody, and in the end, you have to do what's best for your group. Mm-hmm. And for overall, who checks more of the boxes on your set of values. And I got to tell you, you can't tell me that Nikki Haley doesn't check more boxes on your set of values than Kamala Harris.
It's that old phrase, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Because if you want that perfect Frankenstein candidate with all the pieces and all the perfection, you are not going to get not even a smidgen, a percentage of what you cherish. So don't commit suicide. Do not vote against a candidate,
Yes.
or do not vote for the candidate. Vote against
the
other
other guy.
candidate.
Right.
Is what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Don't jump, Porch View. Don't jump. I would love to, you know what? I would love Donald to be on the ticket, but he can't be on the ticket. I mean, he legally can, but because both the president and the vice presidential candidate are from Florida, it would split Florida's electoral votes. So in the electoral college, the electors cast a ballot for the president, the presidential candidate, and they cast their vote for the president and their vote for the vice president. They can't vote for the president and vice president. They can't vote from Florida's electors, can't vote for the same person from the same state. Do you see what I'm saying? They can't vote for both the president and vice president from the same state. So half of them could vote for the president for like Trump, and the other half would have to vote for the Democrat candidate or another VP candidate. So you could theoretically wind up with Donald Trump as the president and somebody else as vice president, not his running mate, because Florida's X number of electoral votes that all can't vote for both candidates from their state. So New Jersey electors can't vote for two candidates from their state. They have to vote for, right. So Florida would have one candidate on the ballot. So they can't have another candidate on the ballot.
That's so complicated.
It's really not. You just can't place both, but you just can't place your ballots for both the president and the vice president can't be from the same state in the electoral college with their ballots if you're from that state. So Pennsylvania electors can't vote for the presidential candidate and the vice presidential candidate from Pennsylvania. What it's meant to do is, it goes back to when they started the electoral college, it would prevent the big states like Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, who had a lot of population, which is why we got the electoral college in the first place, because Boston, Philly, New York, we're controlling everything, right? The city centers. So we have the electoral college to give other people a say, but it prevented the more populous states from controlling things. So they weren't allowed to vote for they couldn't pick both the president and the vice president from the same state, because it would give that population center too much control.
Well, and that's good. People who say get rid of the electoral college, look at it today. The more populated centers happen to trend blue. They happen to be Democrat. They happen to be the cities. And to me, it really is important to be able to give that proportional voice to people out in Montana, people out in wherever, Wyoming, people, Alaska, places that have a few electoral votes, but at least they have a voice in this. It's arrogance to say, well, if there are more people, let's just go with the popular vote. There are more people in Philadelphia, so they should have a bigger say than some, whatever, every square mile you have a half of a person in Wyoming. We need the electoral college more than ever because of the concentration of liberals in cities, which tend to have a lot of people, and conservatives in what they used to call, and maybe still do, flyover country. And because if we don't, then there will never be ever again a Republican or conservative candidate that wins an election. And that's not right. Again, look at Philadelphia. There are no Republicans left in office. We have one Republican city councilman, and that's because he's from the far Northeast, and that's because it is a stronghold. Every other one is a Democrat, and some of them are far left socialist Democrats. So we don't want that happening in the United States.
Right. So here's I probably didn't explain it properly. Article 2 states of the electoral college system is laid out in Article 2 of the Constitution. It states, the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for two persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. So they can't vote. So if they want to vote for two people from the same state, they're not allowed to do that. of their state,
Mhm.
right? So they can vote for one person from their state, but they can't vote for two people from their state. Under the original system, electors did not distinguish between candidates for the top two offices. The candidate with the most votes became president, the runner up became vice president. The 12th Amendment, adopted in 1804, mandated that electors cast separate ballots for president and vice president. But the ruling preventing an elector from voting for two people from his home state remained in effect under the new system. So the electors in Florida can't both vote. Now, Kamala Harris is from California, right?
Yeah.
So can't be Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom,
Yeah.
because the electors from California can't vote for both of them. They can vote for one of them.
And I don't think it would be, because
Right.
they're too much alike. And also, I don't think they like each other very much. I can't see them running on the
Who
same.
likes her at all? I don't
No
think I
one.
would like either one of them. He gives me the creeps. I would, if I ever saw him, I would, when he walked into a room, I would feel like I need to go hose myself off afterwards. Like I would just feel like I bathe myself in Dawn to get the grease off me. You know what I mean? Like
He
he
looks
had.
like a grown-up Damien from The Omen. Remember, there was that third episode of The Omen, and Damien was an adult. He was grown up, and he wore a three-piece suit, and he was well coiffed and very handsome, and he ended up being the child of Satan. So I'm sorry, I'm not saying that Gavin Newsom is the child of Satan, but he just gives off weird vibes,
The weirdest thing,
sepulchral
it,
vibes.
but the weird thing of it all, he used to be married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's now engaged to Donald Trump Jr.
I know. Go figure. That was a weird pairing. Well, that was like 15 years ago, when she was just
Yeah,
starting out in the media,
yeah,
and I don't think she had a very defined political identity at that point. So,
right,
yeah,
right.
she was first lady of San Francisco when he was mayor.
Well, that was before it was a disaster area. So back when you could go to San Francisco and not get killed.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Christine. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Porchview, I hope you know we love you, because I'm glad you said what you said, because I think a lot of people feel the way that you feel. And so I think it's important that it's talked about. So thank you for bringing it up. And I hope you know we love you. We really
And
do.
she's honest, and I appreciate honest, strong voiced women like Mary. And I disagree with you, but I respect strongly your position and your values. And just again, we have to be strategic here.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Paul says she was a prosecutor in San Francisco. I did not know
Mhm.
that, huh?
She was an
Uh,
assistant DA. Yeah.
yeah, politics is the reason why he moved from New Jersey to Florida. I don't even recognize New Jersey anymore. Neither do I. Chris Christie says political issues can be so nuanced. Thanks. All right. And Porch Farm says, I do. Good. I'm glad you still love us, because we still love you, as I said. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love you if you do that. Love you, love you, love you. Please like the podcast. Go back, watch old episodes. Please, please, please like them, because there's like a rating. So if 10 people watch the video and only 5 give it a thumbs up, then you only get like a certain rating. It's not as good. So, so please do that. And I don't care if you let it run and don't watch it, just like it. Let it run out, because even though like they know when you click out, the whole bit. So just let it go. Please tell your friends. We appreciate it. I always post it. I will post the links for Spotify and Apple and everything coming up. I will do that. You can always find it on Spotify and Apple on Mary Walter Radio. And please, if you see it, please retweet it. Please repost it. Everybody who does that, it just really, really helps. And a big thank you to Evie, who did the graphic for Christine tonight being on the
Thank
show. Thank you,
you.
Evie.
I love
And
it.
Evie's amazing son, Zach's birthday was yesterday, and he watches every episode. So, Zach, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sagittarian. I'm a Sagittarius too. Happy birthday, Zach.
All right. So, thank you so much, everybody. And Bill says you have to get Christina back. She is fantastic. Yes, you are, Christine. You are amazing. You're wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. I will see you again. Remember, Thursday, Friday on for Todd Starnes, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can find him online, or just go to KWAM or locally near you. And then on Monday on the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV, sometime between 4:30 and 5 o'clock Eastern. Thank you. Bye.